many people think like, oh, if people aren't getting saved, therefore you shouldn't do it. But are you familiar with the Bible and Jesus and the gospel? How many people rejected him, right? Like a lot of people rejected him, but Jesus wasn't like, dang, this isn't working, maybe I should switch it up. We stay faithful to what God has said and let God do the raising up. You know what I mean?
But if one way of proclaiming isn't working, should you try a different way?
If it matches,
doesn't mean you necessarily stop. Right. It just means you just try a way.
I'm okay with different ways of people proclaiming, but I see this as the primary method done in Scripture. Jesus preached on a mountain, and he proclaimed, the good news. Jeremiah, these were street preachers. The Apostle Paul, being in the temple, proclaiming the gospel. So that's the main way I see it. If people choose another way to proclaim, I'm okay with that. If they're sharing the gospel, that's what it's all about. Any other questions or concerns? Are you a Christian?
I am. So I've studied Bible literacy, and so I was just wondering, does this way make people think, oh, Christians push their beliefs?
Right, we do. Because,
and you know what? I don't think that's how it should be shown.
Do you have a problem with atheism or secularism pushing their worldview on you? Or better yet, do you...
actually I do, but just because they do it doesn't necessarily mean
Let me ask you this. Do you proclaim Christ with your friends?
Of course I do.
So you're pushing your beliefs, right?
But if I see one way, they're saying, if I feel that one way is just a little bit too offensive to them, I'm not going to continue to do that.
Did you know the gospel is offensive?
Yeah, I do know that. But me as a person,
and I'm not saying you have to do this.
I totally understand. I was just wondering if, do people's reaction, how do people react to it?
Well, they killed Jesus, so they're actually falling short of what they really should be doing. Jesus said if they hated me, they'll hate you.
So you don't think that Christians are doing enough?
Yeah, I would probably say that. Many people don't share their faith. Many people do what I think you're probably maybe more familiar with. I call it, and many others call it, friendship evangelism, where they're like, let me be your friend first, let me gain a relationship with you, then I'll share Christ with you. Many try to do it like that.
You don't think people respond better to someone they're close to?
I'm saying that it's not dependent upon that. It's dependent upon God regenerating their heart to believe, not them being friends. Because guess what? The gospel can separate good friends. Because, Jesus said, this will separate mother from, daughter and father from son. So the gospel separates. And I'm willing, as a Christian, to be separated from people I love for the sake of Jesus Christ. So let me ask you a question. What would you say the gospel is?
Christ died on the cross and rose from the dead.
Okay. So what happens to people who reject that message?
They go to hell.
Right. So why aren't we fervently sharing that to the masses? Because the reality is that anybody can go at any moment, right? We're not promised to make it home. We think we do. We think we are, but the reality of it is that any one of us could die tonight. And my brothers out here, want to proclaim that message faithfully because we know the reality that people die and where they will go if they are without Christ. So whatever way you share the gospel, I would say keep doing it. But also support the public proclamation of the gospel from the streets, because that was the main way Jesus did it. He didn't really try to gain friends for 5 years and be like, now we're real close. Now I have an opportunity.
But not in that. Okay, so it's different. See, if say me and my mom are having an argument, I'm going to respond, or we're just talking, I'm going to respond better if she comes and listens to where I come from than if she, I'm not necessarily saying, oh, you got to make friends with them. I'm saying hey, what religion are you? Making conversation, approaching people in the street corner, hey, you know Jesus, hey, you know Jesus.
Right. And that's, so good point. So we are, the gospel's offensive, but we're not offensive on top of offense, right?
That's,
So I shouldn't be going to people and just, just making rude comments and putting them down, but I am passionate about them knowing Christ. And if they reject Christ, I want to discuss with them. I want to have discussions with people who think differently and discuss why they believe that way. They may respond better if I know them for 3 years. I'm not doubting that, but that may not mean that they will believe more because they know me, right? So the gospel is not dependent, I'm sure you would agree, the gospel is not dependent upon us, right? The gospel is dependent upon God, right? Like, he's the one that, like, because you're a Christian, he's the reason why you believe. It wasn't because you woke up one morning and was like, man, it makes sense now.
Oh, definitely.
Like, God gave you that desire that you once didn't have and now have, you know, and you're obedient and repentant and trusted in him. So the gospel, so we're not necessarily trying to make friends out here, but I have given my number out to people and like, call me. We can talk, we can meet up, we can go to lunch if you want to discuss further, you know. So, but our main duty here is doing what Matthew 28 says, going out to all nations, proclaiming the gospel, to teach and train, you know, to proclaim the gospel. You know, the gospel is like, it's going to go out on seeds. Like Jesus gave the parable. There's seeds being thrown out. Some falls on hard ground, some falls on rocky ground, right? Thorny ground, and some falls on good soil. We don't know. We may meet people in heaven and be like, he was like, I was on the shop when y'all were preaching.
You don't think that since this day and age, people that get offended easier, that it's different times and that you should try a different approach?
I don't believe so, because I believe the gospel is relevant in every age. Like, people may get more offended in today's age. I understand that, but that's not a fault with this method. It's really a fault to the culture. Like, the culture is very sensitive, and they don't want to have conversations. I was talking with someone earlier, they were just emotional. Like, they wouldn't even like reason with me. I was like, let's talk. And, you know, but
definitely. You can go ahead and talk.
All right, thank you.